What is the tag for that guy who figures out people's heights?
I dare you to guess my height.
I decided to go with this frame of his hand wrapped around his glass. Based off the pattern on the bottom, I'm gonna assume that it's an old-fashioned 10.25 ounce whiskey glass. One factor I noticed is that his hand was slightly over half the circumference, so I'm gonna add the diameter of a quarter for the extra distance. Next, I'm gonna be using this photo as a reference for his chest size. This you? Since I know the width of the gun, I was able to set up this triangle where I was going to set the opposite side equal to his upper arm length. However, I found an app that shows angles and I was able to get a more accurate measurement using cosine. The diameter of the glass was 3.25 inches, so multiply that by pi to get the circumference. Next, divide that number by 2. Add 0.75 for the diameter of the quarter to get his hand length. Multiply that number by 1.618 to get his forearm length. Multiply that number by 2. Add the hand size back on. Multiply by 2 again to account for both arms. To get his chest measurement, use cosine 32 times 18.56. Add those numbers together for 65.34 inches, or about 5'5" and 3/8 inches. First, we need to find the missing distance from the circumference of her bottle. To do that, I'm going to be using this photo of her holding ramen. The cup held 2.25 ounces of ramen, so I found a cup with similar dimensions. The distance seems to only account for half the cup, so I can divide the diameter by 2 and multiply by pi. Next, I needed to find a reference for chest size. I couldn't find the exact model, but I found one with a similar backrest, which ended up being a width of 15 inches. So we can set the hand size to y and solve with this equation. However, I'm not sure if I need 1.02 since the measurements were more precise. First, find the circumference of the coldest water bottle and subtract x. Multiply that number by 1.618. Multiply by 2 and add the hand size back on. Multiply by 2 again to account for both arms. And add 15 for chest size, which gets me to 69.89 inches, or about 5'9" and a half.
Do you have a level on that ruler?
Sure do.
It's 59 and 5/8.
What does that mean?
Or 69 and 5/8. Sorry, that's 5'9" and 5/8. So he was an eighth of an inch short.
Oh.
You're probably wondering, how is he gonna get her height with just this photo? Well, this is a 24-ounce coffee from Dunkin' Donuts. If it follows these dimensions, the diameter of the top is going to be 3 3/4 inches. Now all we have to do is find the circumference of the top by multiplying the diameter by pi. Now her hand doesn't cover the entire cup, but if you zoom in, you can see where her thumb is in relation with her middle finger, so you can subtract about 5 inches from the circumference. Next, I needed a second reference for chest size, so I decided to go with her nightstand. It's about 18 inches wide, but if you zoom in, she seems to be offset a couple inches, so we'll go 16 inches for reference too. Next, multiply her hand size by 1.618. Multiply that number by 2, add the hand size back on, multiply by 2, add 16, and multiply by 1.02 to get 74.91 inches, or about 6'3".
You were correct. You still don't believe Kentara? You can go to my roster where it says 6'3" for the years I played college volleyball.
Once again, I decided to go with the Dunkin' Donuts cup to test the accuracy of this method. Since we remembered the top diameter was 3.75 inches, we can estimate his hand size to be about half the circumference. Next, I'm going to measure the flow of the air in his room. Just kidding. But I am going to use the width of this air vent as a reference for his chest size, which is 14 inches. To justify these measurements, I went ahead and found the dimensions of his microwave online. The diameter of the inner plate was 16 inches, so the estimation of 14 inches for chest size was pretty accurate. Next, we can set the hand size equal to y and solve using our equation, this time incorporating 1.02 for all the rough estimates. First, find the diameter of the Dunkin' Donuts cup, then divide that number by 2, multiply that number by 1.618, multiply that number by 2, add y, multiply again by 2 for both arms, add 14 for chest size, and multiply by 1.02 to get 65.18 inches, or about 5'5".
Okay, so here it is.
You guys enjoyed the coffee cup measurement, so I decided to kick it up a notch and use an apple. First, I had to determine whether the apple was large or medium so I can find the average diameter, and it seemed pretty big. His hand only covers half the apple, so we're going to be dividing the circumference by 2. Next, we needed a reference for his chest size, so I decided to use this frame. This you? I found the dimensions online and I'm estimating the width of his chest to be the distance between these two bars. We're essentially using the same formula, but we're just working backwards to find E. First, multiply 3.75 by pi, divide by 2 to get the hand size, multiply by 1.618 to get forearm size, multiply that number by 2, add the hand size back on, multiply by 2 again and count for both arms, add 15 for chest size, and then multiply by 1.02 to get 66.2 inches, or about 5'6".
Make a mark there. See, I have one too, my man. Let's see what we got here. Says I'm 5'8" and a little bit of change.
For this video, I decided to calculate her height using this photo of her holding cheese. The cheese does have equal side lengths of 3.25 inches. So I was able to set up a 45-45-90 triangle to get the hypotenuse, and I'm estimating that blue line to be about 25% of that distance. Per request, I decided to go with multiple references for a chest size, one being this G Fuel cup, which I'm using for shoulders. I found this G Fuel shaker from a similar line of cups, which had a top diameter of 4 inches. For the rest of her chest size, I'm going to be using her clout goggles. This you? Those glasses are correct, and they have a frame width of 5.71 inches. Now we can set up our equation. First, multiply 3.25 by square root 2. Multiply that number by 1.25 to cover the missing distance. Multiply that number by 1.618 to get her forearm size. Multiply that number by 2. Add the Y value back on. Multiply by 2 again to count for both arms. Multiply the top diameter of the G Fuel cup by 2 and add 5.71 to get her chest size. And add that number to the arm lengths to get 62.38 inches, or about 5'2" and 3/8 inches.